Welcome to the James Tayoro Show. I appreciate you guys watching today. I appreciate you guys joining me. I know you don't have to. I know there's a lot of things on YouTube. The fact that you are watching this show right now, I appreciate it. Before we begin, if you're not liking and subscribing, please do. Okay, please do, because it is going to help massively with the algorithm. It's going to help this show explode. I think this show will explode. When people start to see it and it goes all over everybody's pages, and the algorithm pushes it on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and X as well. I think they're gonna like it. Okay, and you guys are here at the very beginning. And guys, subscribe now, like the videos now, comment now. Trust me, I will remember you. I will remember you 100%. But I'm going to talk to you about the story that is all over the internet right now, all over X right now. Whether you're an American or if you're in the UK or really anywhere in the West right now, you would have heard about the scandal going on in the UK right now. Some call it a scandal, some disagree. If you saw my previous video that I did on the 2nd of January 2025, where I spoke about the state of the UK, I spoke about a few things, but I did touch upon this subject, and I spoke about the grooming gangs that were going on in the UK in a few years ago, although it's also still going on now, where essentially what you had these Muslim guys, mostly Pakistanis. Well, actually, I guess who's to say they were Muslim, but they were Middle Eastern, let's just say that. And essentially, they were grooming and raping and trafficking and getting hooked on drugs young British women, especially white girls, right? So what you had was 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds that were groomed by these guys, brought into the group of adult men. We're talking 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds who were hanging around these young girls. They were getting them hooked on drugs. They were, pimping them out as prostitutes. They were raping them, and they were trafficking them in some cases. Not, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware, not overseas, but they were trafficking them from, for example, down south up north, right? So from London to Manchester, that sort of thing, right? Or Bradford. Now, what you've seen on the news and on the platform X, I suppose, is you've seen two different things. You've seen people who are independent journalists and people who are primarily right-wing saying that the UK government right now, the Labour Party, are not doing anything about it. They're not looking into it, even though the nation is talking about it and the nation wants answers. They want to know why this wasn't all over the news 10, 15 years ago. Now, because I'm giving you facts here, it was in the news a little bit. It was in the news a little bit, but nowhere near as much as it should have been, okay? It was in the news less than if a celebrity was caught having an affair, right? And we're talking about the safety of young children, young girls in the UK. The media, the government, they didn't do good enough, okay? They did not do enough. They did not do what the nation wanted them to. And now what you have is the government still not looking into it, even though the nation is calling for it. Okay? But the other thing you've seen, right, is you've seen Elon Musk. Okay, you've seen Elon Musk talking about it. Now, first of all, I'm happy that Elon Musk is talking about it for two reasons. One, because the whole of the UK needs to be spoken about overseas. And when I was in America recently, a couple of weeks ago, when I was talking to a lot of politicians and a lot of people, podcasters, whatever, YouTubers, just a lot of people who were into politics, I was talking to them about the UK, and they did have an idea of what was going on, but they didn't understand the full extent to the government tyranny, the crazy ideology over there. Obviously, look, it's not they're not obligated to. They had loads of problems going on in the US, but now that Trump's won, the focus has been, okay, now let's get the UK. Now let's sort the UK out. And Elon Musk is the guy who's done that, right? He was talking about the UK for a while, and as soon as Trump won, his focus from US politics to UK politics was pretty quick, should I say, happened straight away, and I'm glad about that, right? I'm also glad that Elon is holding these people accountable. He's not just talking about the UK government as a whole, he's naming and shaming specific individuals within the government, right? And he is actually giving you reasons why. He's giving you evidence of why this guy is a bad guy. Now, let's circle back, okay? What you had previously, let's say before Christmas, right? And even into the new year, you had this alliance between the Trump organization, right? The Trump administration, and you had Nigel Farage, who is head of the recently formed party within the UK, Reform UK. Okay, these guys, friends, they seem to have known each other for a while, a bit of a, you could call it a bromance, whatever. And it seems like as soon as Trump won, suddenly Nigel was getting that support, right, from Donald Trump. And by extension, he was getting support from Elon Musk. Elon Musk then, did a bit of marketing, I guess, for Reform UK, was saying that Nigel was the guy that could maybe save the UK. He also potentially was going to donate to Reform UK. There was numbers thrown about like 100 million. There was no evidence of that. Elon denied it. Nigel denied it. The media kept going on about it, talking about it's a bad thing, all this and that. But let's just get the facts right. Nobody said that that was happening. That was just a random number given by the media, 100 million. Musk's trying to buy the UK. Not true, right? But in the recent days, right, what's essentially happened is since Musk has been talking about the cover-up by the UK government, there was a man whose name had to be mentioned, okay? And that is a man by the name of Tommy Robinson. Now, if you don't know who Tommy Robinson is, quickly I'll tell you, he is a journalist. He formed the English Defence League, the EDL, which is no longer a thing. Some people call that a far-right group. Some people call it a patriot group. Personally, I think it's a patriotic group, but it's pretty right-leaning. I wouldn't say it was far-right because the term far-right is essentially like skinhead neo-Nazi, right? White guys only, no black guys, no anything, no Jews, none of that. So just pure bloods, I guess you would call it. EDL wasn't like that. It really wasn't like that. It didn't matter what skin color you were. You could be part of that. Although obviously it's not a thing, so it's irrelevant, but I'm just giving you a backstory about Tommy Robinson, right? Now, Tommy Robinson made documentaries and reported stories talking about these exact grooming gangs a while back. Before anybody else was talking about it, he was talking about it. He was exposing the pedophilia within the government and within the Muslim community, okay? And how the government covered up for the Muslims, right? Now, if you'd seen my show the other day, you'd have seen when I touched upon this, a lot of the government were aware of the accusations of the Muslim, grooming / rape gangs, but they didn't want to come across as racist or Islamophobic, so they didn't look into it. And Tommy Robinson pointed that out, and he's pointed a load of things out. He's hated by the left-wing government, and he's been jailed. Okay, in my opinion, he is a political prisoner. Some people will say, well, he pleaded guilty, so he is guilty. My personal opinion is that when you're under a lot of pressure like that, and it's essentially a corrupt case, you plead guilty so that you get less time than, if you were convicted after going non-guilty. Anybody knows anything about court knows that if you plead guilty, you get less time. Now, here's how this relates back to Elon Musk. Elon Musk is saying free Tommy Robinson. Elon Musk has been, posting Tommy Robinson's old posts, promoting his documentary, posting his admin, because Tommy Robinson's obviously he's in prison, but his admin team has been running his Twitter account. Elon's been reposting that. And essentially, when questioned upon it, Nigel Farage says, no, we don't agree with Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson's a criminal. We don't want anything to do with him. We don't want him near our party, along with a few other, head senior members within the Reform UK. So this has caused a bit of a tension, I guess you could call it, between Elon Musk and Nigel Farage. So, the media's obviously helped wrap this up, obviously, because they don't like Elon, they don't like Nigel, and they don't want Nigel to be Prime Minister. But essentially, Elon did say on a Twitter post, he said, Nigel Farage is not the man to lead Reform UK. He said, and I quote, doesn't have what it takes. So just to address that, what I would say is that he has he has a point, okay, because, some people would say that Tommy Robinson and Nigel Farage are probably like the two most ideological sound people. They have a lot in common. They probably think the exact same. The fact that, and I'm surprised about it, the fact that Nigel Farage doesn't want Tommy Robinson within his organization and within his party is a surprise. Okay, I feel like that would be like a dream team, right? I suppose the issue is that Nigel Farage has a lot of momentum right now, and someone like Tommy Robinson, who brings a lot of heat, probably isn't the best thing. Like if you're looking to, get independent voters, or you're trying to take people, voters from the Conservative Party or the Labour Party, then I get that strategically it might not be the best thing. However, some people would say that, you don't want to be too strategic about it, and you want to be honest and say, look, I agree with this guy and back him no matter what heat comes your way. But then again, Nigel Farage also, sort of didn't want anything to do with Andrew Tate. Again, they're aligned on basically everything I can think about, except maybe Palestine and Israel, but that's got nothing to do with the UK. So it's a bit of a weird situation, although even though Elon said those things about Nigel still speaks good about Elon. His response was, I love Elon. We don't agree on this, but it's all good. I'm happy to have him as a supporter. No bad blood. Elon is obviously looking at things a little different, at least according to his tweets. Remember, Elon hasn't actually been interviewed. He hasn't spoken about it with his mouth on camera. Like, no words have come out of his mouth. He's just tweeting. So everyone's going off his tweets. So it's difficult to actually say what Elon's exact position is if you don't have him explain long form his full opinion on Nigel Farage and Reform UK. But just to address again this idea that Nigel isn't the guy to take Reform UK, into the head of the government, right? Be Prime Minister. This is, and if you're in England, but if you're in America, you need to understand this is crazy talk. Okay, Reform UK is Nigel Farage, and unless Nigel becomes Prime Minister, and has a good term as a Prime Minister of the UK, and then maybe gets re-elected again, and then if that doesn't happen, if you don't have a Reform UK in government as Prime Minister, they are in charge of the UK multiple times, 3-4 times before Nigel Farage passes away. Well, then Reform UK lives and dies with him. Okay, you have to understand, Reform UK is Nigel Farage's party. Okay, for those in America who don't understand, this is the equivalent of MAGA. This is like MAGA. Imagine if MAGA was a party. Imagine if Donald Trump, instead of running as a Republican, right, formed a new party, MAGA. MAGA, Make America Great Again. Imagine if that was an actual party. Okay, it lives and dies with Trump, and it's the same with Reform UK, which is good and bad, because it means if Nigel Farage doesn't get popular, then Reform UK will never make it, right? However, if you wanted to think about, the average position of somebody in the UK, the average citizen, right? I'll tell you that actually they haven't ruled, Reform UK out. They have not ruled them out. They probably have had a lot of heat over the last couple of years, and when I say they, I mean just Nigel and his people. However, the tide's turning with free speech on social media now. People are seeing that Nigel Farage isn't crazy. They're seeing his videos. He's getting a lot of people behind him. He's getting a lot of young people behind him, which is crucial. And he's getting a lot of people who maybe a couple years ago didn't like him, who were saying, you know what, this guy's right. This guy's right. We have to just go with what he's saying. We have to vote Reform. And, that's why Reform UK is the second biggest party in the country right now. It's overtaken the Conservatives. And, I think he has a chance, right? But Nigel has to play it cool. So his position on, Musk and everything, and Tommy Robinson, and, keep Tommy away from me and keep Musk with me and try not to piss him off. It's a good tactic. It's a good tactic. Like, if you were looking at it objectively, you'd have to say that Nigel was doing very, very well right now. So, yeah, there's that. Now, the average citizen is put off by the mess. That's the truth. The average citizen looks at the mess and says, "What's going on?" Okay, they say, "Okay, well, Nigel, what's going on with Elon, Tommy Robinson? Like, is there just arguing? Is there no, like, where's the structure? We don't want anything to do with that," right? That's what a lot of the average citizens are going to be saying. But at the same time, you're also going to have a lot of average citizens who are going to be, and this again, which is why it goes back to the strategic part of it, and where Nigel's doing a good job, is that, they're going to say, "Hey, listen, I thought this guy was some far-right guy that the media have been telling me he is. If he doesn't want Tommy Robinson in his group because he sees Tommy Robinson as too extreme or criminal or whatever, well, then maybe I got it wrong. Maybe Nigel's not that bad." Okay, so that's what a lot of average citizens are going to be saying. So, and when I say average citizen, I mean people who are not completely loyal to one party. I mean guys who are not going to vote Labour no matter what. They might have voted Labour this year, and then they saw what's happened to the country, and they think, "No, not doing that again." They might have been Tories, and then they think, "Well, the Tories don't represent me anymore, and they're sending way too much money to Ukraine." So, Nigel's doing a good job with the average citizen. However, if you want to talk about let's call it the average Reform UK voter, it's actually those who are the people you have to worry about, right? Because, like it or not, Tommy Robinson has a huge following, okay? And it's essentially safe to say every single person who is a fan of Tommy Robinson is a Reform UK voter. They probably voted for Reform UK. They definitely registered Reform UK. They've probably sent money to Reform UK. They've probably given a £25 donation or given a £10 whatever. They are the people that essentially backed Nigel at the very beginning. So the fact that Nigel has sort of said, "Tommy Robinson, we don't want anything to do with you," that's an issue for people within his party. Do you understand? Don't worry about the people on the outside, okay? Don't worry about the Americans. They're not voting anyway. The point is, Tommy Robinson, right, has been around for a long, long time, okay? And he has people who are probably more loyal to him than Nigel does, if you look at the facts, right? Now, Nigel has a big audience. Nigel has, he does a speech. There'd be, loads of people there, thousands of people there. But listen, Tommy Robinson is not someone to be underestimated. Tommy Robinson is a guy, okay, who gets 100,000 people marching through the streets of London, supporting him, supporting his cause, okay? So if you think about how many people are marching in the street, how many people do you think are at home? How many people sharing his Facebook post? How many people? He's talking about a guy who's got 1 million subscribers or 1 million followers on Twitter. We're talking about a guy who released a documentary, okay, before he went to prison earlier this year, and we're talking millions of views, the biggest documentary in the UK. So, unless those guys are willing to compromise on in terms of what's best for the country and say, "Look, we support Tommy Robinson, Nigel doesn't. We're a little disappointed about that and we feel let down. However, Nigel's still the best guy for the country. We're going to have to back him even if he doesn't back our guy." Okay? That's what Nigel's going to need to rely on. He's basically going to have to rely on people being so patriotic and having such love for this country that they're going to compromise on the Tommy Robinson issue, which, look, if you ask me right now, I say it's like a 50-50. Do I think some of them will? Yeah, look, me personally, I will. I think Nigel should have backed Tommy, but look, I'll still support him because it's what's best for the country. But there's going to be some people out there who are going to say, fuck Nigel Farage. Frankly, they're just going to say, "Fuck you. We had your back. Tommy Robinson represents all of us. You don't want him. You aren't backing him in terms of the political imprisonment. You aren't saying that he's wrongly convicted. You aren't saying that he shouldn't be in solitary confinement for a year. Fuck you." That's basically what a lot of these guys are going to be saying. Now, let's talk about what this means for the future of Reform UK. Okay, I know I briefly touched upon it, but I want to be clear, guys. This is kind of good for Reform UK in a way, right? Because what you're seeing is spotlight, right? What you're seeing is people talking about Nigel Farage. They're talking about Reform UK. And what that means is that a lot of people who maybe would never have looked into it are going to be looking into it. So it's, that thing where, there's no such thing as bad publicity. That's kind of the thing with this. But what I will say is that, like, if Reform UK don't start winning an election like this time around, they're done. They're done because a lot of people are going to start saying, look, you just aren't capable of winning. So we're going to have to go back to the Tories and hope that there's some change within that party. That's the thing. Now, Andrew Tate is also getting into politics, apparently. Okay, which, look, am I saying it's good or bad? I don't know. It depends. Depends on the direction. I mean, if it becomes big, well, then I would definitely support that party. However, the issue is that his party, right, the Bruv party, was it Britain returning to underlying values or whatever? The issue with that is that his voters, right? Anyone who, let's say Andrew Tate, this party's real and he goes for it. All he's going to be doing, and I'm not saying it's bad, I'm not saying it's good, I'm just pointing out the truth. All he's going to be doing is taking voters away from Reform UK. That's all he's going to be doing. Okay, he's not taking Tory voters. He's definitely not taking Labour Party voters. Or, well, I don't think he will anyway. You can never say never, but he probably won't. All he's going to be doing is taking Reform UK voters. And Reform UK are not going to step aside for the Bruv Party. Okay? So if the Bruv Party keeps going and actually gets traction and gets a big following and a load of people registering to actually vote for this party, well, then what you're going to see is Labour licking their lips saying, thank God, they can fight between each other and we're just clean up. Because, again, you have to understand, this is what happens within politics, which is why in America, what you saw, RFK Jr., what happened? He dropped out of the race, joined Trump, because he understood, okay, one, they were trying to shut him down. The left wing were trying to shut him down, but also he understands that all he's doing, right, when you have a party that's similar to another party, all you do is split that side of the aisle, okay? It happened in the last election. I don't know if you saw my video where I addressed it, okay? Reform UK took voters from the Tories and handed the election to the Labour Party. Now, they took a lot of voters and got a load of new voters registered and interested in politics, so Reform UK, I don't have that much of an issue with it. But if the Bruv Party goes ahead, then what you're going to see is all the people that Reform UK need, okay, to go up against the Labour Party, they're just going to be taken away. And then you might have 60% or 55% of the country thinking the same way, all voting against Labour, but they've been split into two different groups on like a 30-30 split, okay? So Labour Party still win. And that's the issue with the Andrew Tate Bruv Party. Although, look, at the end of the day, who's to say he can't overtake Reform UK? There's no reason. I mean, he'd take all the Tommy Robinson voters, and he'd probably take some of the other Reform UK voters just because of who he is. And, you never know. You never know. Or he might join up with Reform UK, which I think would be better. However, again, same with the Tommy Robinson, Reform UK don't want anything to do with Andrew Tate, because when you get these controversial guys, look, they probably wouldn't want anything to do with me if I blew up. Okay? It's just the way it is. When you're in politics, like it or not, it's an appearance game. It's an image game. There's a bit of fakery going on. And although Nigel Farage is probably the realist of all of the politicians, well, I say probably, he definitely is the realist of all of them, he's not going to want to put himself in a position where he's saying, look, I agree with Tommy Robinson, I agree with Andrew Tate. He's not going to do it. It's just going to hurt him. And then, look, then you're looking at another 5 years of Labour Party because the Tories are fucked. So, look, it is what it is. Now, before I let you guys go, I need you to do me a favor. I need you guys to subscribe to the channel, okay? I need you to subscribe to the channel because I'm here, right? I'm getting dressed better than usual, got the lights, got the camera, got the action. I need something in return, okay? So like the video, subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. If you have already subscribed, well then thank you very much. Also, guys, go to the Instagram. I've got my Instagram, james.tayoro. Follow that, okay? I've only got one Instagram. And then you can also go to TikTok. There's a clips channel of me, James Tayoro Clips. Please go ahead and follow both of those and like everything you see, okay? Because we're trying to take it to the next level, and we can. This is the thing. We can. It is a glorious opportunity to take things to the next level. Free speech is about. Trump is in office. Canadian Prime Minister stepped down. Austrian Prime Minister stepped down. There's a shift going on all over the globe, okay? And people with our opinions are not being held back anymore. And I think that we can influence a lot of people into, thinking the way we think and sparking conversations that they might not otherwise have had, and maybe getting people to think our way. Maybe I'll start thinking like someone else. Who knows, right? But the point is, this show can be big, but I can do it. I can do it alone, but I need you guys. Okay, it's a team effort. Okay, so if you like the video, then fucking subscribe, and also check my last video and check my next video. Okay, because everything I do for you guys, and I try my best, and I think we can really take this shit to the next level. Look, if you keep watching more, I'll buy better cameras, okay? We'll have a camera there. As I'm talking, different camera angles, see a side face. Boom, boom. You know what I'm saying. Listen, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Let's fucking go.